Hello everyone, today we are going to learn about that how we can connect the router to router, right? And for this router to router connectivity, we require these three things important. The first one is the connections, and the second one is IP addressing, and third one is your routing. So this is my LAN number 1. I have to simply mention here, this is my LAN number 1, this is my LAN number 2. I want to connect these two LANs together for the communication, right? So I just simply mention this is the LAN number 1, this is my LAN number 2. Now, after that, what I required, now I required the cable connection. So I just simply move to the cables. I just simply select this cable for the communication. Here, this is the fast Ethernet that is going to be connected with the switch. Switch again having the fast Ethernet. I'm going to take the next one, this and this, from switch to router. So for the switch to router, again, I'm going to take the cable. So as you can see that this fast Ethernet 0x3 is going to be connect with the router's gigabit Ethernet. So this connection has been done because my router having no fast Ethernet, it's having gigabit Ethernet. So this again, this switch is going to be connect with the router's gigabit Ethernet. Yes. Now for the router to router connectivity, I'm going to use the serial cable, right? For the serial cable, what we required, I required simply click on this router number 1, right? And then zoom in. I need to add some ports here. You can find out there is a one switch. I have to close the switch and then click on the HWIC2T where the multiple ports are available. I just simply click or select this port and place it here. After placing these ports, I just simply close this. Same thing you have to do on the another side of router. This is again zoom in. You have to close this and add this port. Just wait. We're going to add the port, select this and place it here. So again, I'm going to close it. Yes, close, switch off and then close. So now you can find out that serial port has been added under router number 0, and router number 1 also get the serial port with the name 0x3x0, right? So I just simply connect one serial cable in between the routers. I just simply take this cable, connect the serial port with this router serial port. So as you all can see that serial port 0x3x0 is directly connected with the router number 1's serial port 0x3. So what we have to do now, the most important thing, we need to provide the network address. We need to get the network address, default gateway, and the IP address of the PCs. So network address, I'm going to take for this side of LAN is 192.168.1.0. This is the network address for this LAN number 1. Now is default gateway, and the default gateway is 192.168.1.1, right? This is my default gateway for this side, and the PC's address, IP address, right? So PC's IP address is 192.168.1.2, and the second PC having 192.168.1.3. So this is the configuration of the LAN number 1s. And now we require to mention the IP address for the LAN number 2. So network address for this is 192.168.2.0, and default gateway for this is 192.168.2.1, and the PC's IP address we are going to take for the LAN number 2, that is 192.168.2.2 and 192.168.2.3. So these are the PC's address. Now we have done with the IP addressing for the LAN number 1, IP addressing for the LAN number 2. So now it's time for the serial cables port. For the LAN number 1 serial port having the IP address, that is 192.168.3.1. And if we talk about that LAN router number 2 serial port having address, that is 168.3.2. So as you all can see that these networks having a different network address. Like if we talk about that LAN number 1, so LAN number 1 having the network address that is 1.0, right? And if we talk about that LAN number 2, so LAN number 2 having the 2.0. And if we talk about that in between the router to router, they are having a different network address, and the network address for this is, I'm going to mention here, that is 192.168.3.0. so this is the network address for the LAN number 1, LAN number 2, and this may be the LAN number 3, right? So I'm just going to provide the IP address to the PCs first. So I just simply click over here and then move to the desktop, IP address configuration. Yes, I'm going to mention that IP address 192.168.1.2, right? So subnet mask automatically extracted, but I need to enter the default gateway, that is in the 1.1, right? So after doing this, I'm just going to close this. It's time for this PC, and this PC, I'm just going to provide the IP address for this, that is 192.168.1.2 subnet mask. Okay, sorry, 192.168.1.3. So next is this subnet mask, and now it's time for the default gateway. Default gateway for the both of the PCs would be same, that is 1.1. So I just simply close it. Now it's time for this PC. So I just simply select IP address configuration, that is 192.168. This is my 2.2, and default gateway would be 192.168.2.1, right? So same I'm going to apply here in desktop. There is 192.168.2.3 subnet mask automatically extracted. Now it's time 192.168.2.1. So this is the IP configuration of your PCs. Now it's time to provide the IP to the Gigabit Ethernet 0x0 for the router number 0 and the serial port IP addressing, right? So I just simply click over here, then go to the configuration. Now you can find out that this router having the 3 different Gigabit Ethernet and 2 different serial ports, right? So what I have to do, there are 2 methods through which we can assign the IP address to the gigabits or the serial port. One is through the command line, a second one is the direct. Suppose I'm going to select this Gigabit Ethernet, make it on, mention the IP address for this. So now my Gigabit Ethernet 0x0 that is present in the router number 0, it's having the IP address 192.168.1.1, right? So automatically extracted the subnet mask. So at the bottom side, you can find out that automatically command line port will get this instruction and assign the IP address according to the IP address and the subnet mask. Now it's going to be closed because I have already assigned the IP address to my Gigabit Ethernet 0x0. Now it's time for this second number router. I want to provide the Gigabit Ethernet IP addressing for the second router as well. So here I just simply click on, make it on, then simply mention the 192.168.2.1 is my IP address for the Gigabit Ethernet. Gigabit Ethernet that is present on the router number 1. So I just simply click over here and then close. Now after the Gigabit Ethernet and the switches fast Ethernet, PC's IP address, we require to provide the IP address for the serial port, right? So I'm going to click over here and move to the CLI. This is my command line. Now you can see that there is an IP address already provided to the fast Ethernet. Now it's time for the serial port. First of all, I just want to change the name of my router. So I just simply mention the host name. This is my command, and I want to give that router number 1. So as you can see that whenever I'm going to mention the host name R1, it's providing this. Now it's time for the interface with the INT. I can just simply giving the instructions to my compiler that this is the interface interaction. So I just simply mention the SE because I'm going to provide the IP to my serial port. Then simply mention. So I'm just going to provide the IP address and the IP address for my serial port that is present here 3.2. So I just simply mention 192.168.3.2 space. Now it's time for the subnet mask. So this is my IP address for my serial port. After applying this, we require to mention the no shut. So when I'm going to mention the no shut, it just making it in a working mode. So I just simply done this way. So you can see that it's up to the routers working. Port has been assigned with the IP address. Your gigabit Ethernet port also assigned with the IP address, right? So I have already done with the router number 0. I'm just going to click over here, and you can find out that first of all, I just provide the host name with the R0. This is the R0 automatically changed when I simply enter the command. And after that, with the interface command, I just simply go to the interface of the serial port and then assign the IP address to this, and after that move shut. So second step already been done, that IP addressing assigned to the IP address assigned to the serial ports. Now it's time for the next one is the IP route. As we have already done with the connections, we have done with the IP addressing. Now it's time for the routing. Now it's time to provide the routing. So routing means maybe there are a number of hopes are coming in between these two routers, so we require to provide the next hope address to the one particular router. There are two ways, one through the command line and one another through the directly with this configure mode. So when we talk about that configure mode, then you just simply go to the static routing, and you can find out that I have already done that this network, that is 2.0, this is my network, that is 2.0, is going to be communicate with this 1.0 network through 192.168.3.2 port. So where is my 3.2 port? This is my 3.2 port through which this particular network can communicate with this. So this complete information I require to provide to the router number 0. The same thing we are going to apply over here in the router number 1. So I just simply click over here. So this is my CLI. Under the CLI, what I have to do, I just simply mention the IP route, and then I require to provide the first IP address, that is 192.168.1.0. So you can find out this is the network that is wants to communicate with the router number 1. So I just simply mention this, and then the subnet mask, right? And after that, the serial port, this is the serial port address I require to be mentioned, that is 192.168. That is 3.2. Sorry, 3.1. Now, so 3.1 is the entry point for this network. That's why I require to mention the IP address of 3.1. This is my next hope address that I have assigned to this. So when you enter these commands, you can find out that under the routing, it will automatically get the complete information and mention here that routing has been done in between the two routers. So right, so first thing that we require, that is connection, second is the IP addressing, and third one is your routing. So we have already done with these steps. Now it's time to check out that connection has been done or not. For checking the communication, we require to pick the packet from here, drag it here, and then drop here. Yes, communication in between these two pieces has been done. It's time to check out that my data is going from one LAN to another or not. So first of all, I just simply drop it here and then check it out, PC to router connections. Yes, my data is successfully received by this router, and the data coming from the PC number 0. Need to be checked that first time when the networks are going to be communicate, the connection would be failed. Like suppose I'm going to drop, I'm going to drop my packet here, and laptop PT wants to be communicate with the next laptop 1. So I just simply drop it here. You can find out this failed has been done. So don't afraid that connection has been done or not. You can just simply drop it here. Then now, first time it will show that the connection has not been done, but the second time after the connection establishment, it will transmit your data successfully. So this is the router to router connections. So again, I'm repeating, the first thing is you have to mention the connections, then you require to connect the connections, and then IP addressing, and then routing. In the same way, you can add one another router here, and you can check the connectivity in between the router 1 to router 2, router 2 to router 3, right? So thank you so much for this session. We'll definitely come with the next one. Thank you.